so glad to be back. This is like home when I'm not at home. So thank you for being family to me. I grew up in a Christian home, and all along I thought I was a Christian. But at one point, I realized I did not have a personal relationship with Christ. And that is what would make me a Christian. But I didn't know how to go about it. I went to church every Sunday. I even taught Sunday school, and yet I didn't have that Jesus in my heart. Until one time, we always lost very close relatives every year. And so one of my aunties, who was born again and used to pray with my mom, came one evening after we had just buried my very close cousin, and she asked, all of us here are now wondering, who next? And if you are next, are you ready? And if you are ready, where are you going to go if you are the next one to die? Will you go to heaven or go to everlasting hell? I don't know how many of you have accepted Christ because you were afraid. I actually gave my life to Christ that night because I was scared. I don't want to go to hell. And I needed a lot of discipling. But I was in a boarding school where we had Christian Union, but nobody talked about who are the young Christians here that they would like to walk with someone. So every now and then I would find myself here, then I come back, then I'm here. But with time, God continued to pursue me. And let me tell you, if God wants you, He will pursue you. It doesn't matter how far you run. Sometimes I ran, but God pursued me. And I didn't know how He was preparing me at that early stage, that He needed me to be aligned to Him, that at one point I would actually just be willing to follow Him. When He called me and gave me a direction to go, I would follow. It was not easy. And it's not easy yet. So God has sent me to some very difficult places. He has taken me through very difficult places. And at one time, I wondered, is God real? Why can't He see the pain I'm going through? But He kept giving me the strength, the courage, and whispering that small voice to me, yes, I am with you. I will walk with you. There are times some of us want to give up, or we give up because God is not coming through. He eventually comes when we are faithful and when we wait for Him to take His place in our lives. There is no less pain than another pain. When someone is going through pain, it is pain. There is no other name you give it. Pain is pain. And little did I know that God was taking me through this process so that I can identify with someone else who may be going through pain or has gone through pain. So I used to hear people talk about South Sudanese suffering, but I would call it off. I'm like, journalists can exaggerate. Until one time, I found myself there, and it just broke my heart, what I saw. And I remember whispering some short prayer to God and telling God, God, if you brought me here to see what I see now, because you will help me to do something about it, here I am. That I didn't know what I was asking for. And since that time, I always tell myself, Rosemary, be careful what you ask for from God. Yeah, but it has been a beautiful journey. I'm glad that I obeyed. I'm glad that I followed. I am glad that God took me through all that. Being a follower of Jesus doesn't mean everything will be smooth and all that. And being a Christian and a follower of Christ doesn't mean you will never go through problems. But God just brings some things in your life to grow you and develop you into a stronger person. That whatever comes that shakes, your roots are deep and strong. When the wind comes, it will blow the leaves, the branches, but the roots hold. I hope that this time we are here just waiting on God will be a part of that time, that we can take our Christian roots, our spiritual roots, really deep, and that they will be strong, that when the wind blows, we shall remain standing for him. God has done it for me. He is not yet done, because when I think he's done, something else crops up. It always crops up. But the Lord is faithful. I'm not always faithful, but he remains faithful in my life. So I just want to encourage you. It might be difficult now. You maybe you grew up or you are growing up in a Christian home. That doesn't make you have a personal relationship with Christ. You just have to go back. Get someone to walk with you and walk you through the process of becoming a follower of Christ. That when he comes, you will for sure hear his voice. Mine is to hear that voice and go to heaven. And how beautiful will it be? I keep on saying, the people who sit here, the ones I've known, the ones I'm seeing for the first time, it will be so beautiful to see each one of you unite in heaven. And it will be such a beautiful thing when you, as a pastor, an elder, someone in church who held somebody's hand and told them, come along, I want to walk with you, disciple you. And Jesus will introduce you to this person and say, yes, this child is here because you held their hand. This child is here because you ministered into their lives. I don't need another crown. That's the only crown I long for. And that keeps me going, that I must meet this Jesus in person, in heaven. And for him to tell me some of the things that happened to me. Why did they happen? He wanted me to meet him in person. And I'll be so glad to reunite with the rest of you. That is my desire. God bless you.